All right, I am done with Emperor's Children. I can move on to something else. Not so fast, buddy. There's a second wave. What do you mean? I worked so hard on that army. You think Slaanesh is going to let you out of her clutches, her whips and chains and hooks that easy? But I already painted up 2,000 points. My sweet summer child, you think an army ends at 2,000 points? What are you, new? Do you want me to just keep doing this because you enjoy dressing up like a hipster Slaaneshi cultist? Don't you mean that you like dressing up like a hipster Slaaneshi cultist? We're the same people, bruh. What? Oh, man. Whatever, man. Explain it to yourself however you want. I'm done. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek video. I am Phil, the Glacial Geek, and today I am going to talk about my experience with the Emperor's Children so far. I kind of talked about it a bit in my Adepticon video, that I really enjoyed playing with them, but I kind of want to go a bit more in depth. And while I do so, let's talk about the expansion that is coming now, that is now going to be available for pre-release. And Games Workshop was kind enough to send over those models so that I could get my hands on it and kind of get working on these. And I will be painting up the new Lucius the Eternal model that I am very excited for. It's such a cool looking model, and even in game I think he's going to be a pretty heavy hitter, and I'm excited for that. But let's get into talking about the Emperor's Children. So my experience is admittedly pretty minor. I've only had 2 games with them so far, but I thoroughly enjoy playing with them. They were fast, they were maneuverable, they had the tools that I think are necessary to do good things, and they play in a way that I enjoy playing with them. So because they're so fast, because they've got the ability to scout and to infiltrate with those base guys there, they have the ability to do a lot of board control. And what ends up happening is that you can push your opponent back into their deployment zone or back towards their side of the table long enough that you're able to kind of collect the other points that you can get for primaries or secondaries, whatever, going back there, because then you'll have some torments going around doing sticky objectives. So you don't need a unit per objective, because they're a very elite army that we've got going on here. And the fact of the matter is that I'm gonna have to wait a second because my dog is taking a slurps.
2 hours later. Four hours later.
You good? You done? All right, there he goes. Anyway, now that everyone's had their sips, the torments are back there because they're an elite army. They're a marine body army. They're pretty expensive on points, and a lot of the units that they've got coming out here are kind of hefty for the point value that you've got going on there. They're not exorbitant, so don't get me wrong. Like, I still can have enough bodies on the field. They're not custodes, they're not knights, but it's still, you still like aren't able to flood the board like you would with bodyguard, or with like Gene Stealer Cult or something like that, or orcs even. You have to be a bit more strategic with what you've got with your units back there. But the fact that they can do the sticky objective and then kind of move to other different places really helps in your ability, especially since they're fast. You can have that same unit can just hoof it right over there to the next objective to start getting the sticky on that objective as well. And when you're playing with them, they're really fast. They're really good at getting where they need to be, and they're really good at keeping your opponent back, which allows you to get those points. All of these things are things that I enjoy playing. They don't need precise positioning like you would necessarily with some other, like an Eldar, where they're like a bit more vulnerable to to fire and stuff like that. They're still Marines, so they still have like a bit of a chonk to them. They still have the ability to hold on and do well and stick where they are. They're not glass cannons. That being said, by the end of my games, I had very few models left on the table because you need to be very aggressive with them. And the fact that you're kind of like running up the board, advancing and charging, moving, falling back and charging into other units, you're gonna inevitably lose models. So you can't be like super precious with them, because the way they get their points back is by being aggressive, by shooting across the board, taking out your enemies, and just engaging them in ways that they don't necessarily want to. So if you're going into like a gunline army, you can pop off those first turn charges easily with the, especially with you have the infractors. You just do, your 6-inch scout, and then you have an advance and charge afterwards. It's like they can move up the board. And doing so really allows you to get where you need to and hit hard. The models do really good at hitting hard, which I'm very excited for. So my list that I brought to Adepticon that I played with that I felt was like a pretty good core is this one. As you can see, it's at the core of it is a lot of like the newer models. So we have that 10-man infractor squad. We have a 5-man infractor squad. We have the two Lord Exultants that are going to go with those two squads. We did have the sorcerer. Honestly, I brought the sorcerer because he looked cool. The conversion that I did with him with the Sanguinius model, or not Sanguinius. I'm sorry, the Sanguinor, not to be confused. The Sanguinor model there, and playing along with him, like with the kit bash that I did, I wanted to bring because I thought he looked cool, and that was like my main concern when it came to this army was looking cool, if I'm being honest. That was my primary. I wanted them to look good, and I wanted to get a sense of what they did. So I had that one sorcerer that was with a 5-man squad of the Tormentors, and they just would run around. They were kind of holding my back objective at the beginning of the game, and then would move around and start to try to sticky other objectives up there. I used that other 5-man Tormentor squad to infiltrate in the beginning there to kind of keep my opponent back and position myself so that I could really get off those first turn charges. I had the Mauler Fiend, which was very good. Once he got into combat, it was brutal. Although I did have one time when he got into combat and he just kind of like slapped along with some guard, and it was not great. It was like into a Lehman Russ, and he hit hard the first turn, but then every turn subsequent he kind of like whiffed, and it was, I don't know if it was just the dice or if that's the situation. Like I said, my experience is admittedly pretty narrow just with those two games, but I mean he looks rad. That's why I really wanted him there. So he's doing what he has to do, which is very exciting, and I still see a place for him going forward in this list. I had the 2 Rhinos. I might want to do another one because they're really good at getting my Noise Marines where they need to be. Because the Noise Marines range is only 18 inches, so that you're a little bit limited in the range that you have with them. But the Emperor's Children Rhinos, instead of having the thing where you can heal up, they actually have the ability to have a unit disembark from them even after they've advanced. And that unit counts as having made a normal move, which means that they can shoot after they get out of it. And also, importantly, they can shoot at the same unit, even though the Rhino advanced, because they're considered to have made a normal move. And if you advance and shoot, which you can do if you're on foot, you can't shoot at the same unit that another unit is shot at. So they're making a normal move, even though the Rhino advanced up there. So I think I might want to do a third one because that would work for one for each of the the Noise Marine squads that you're going to want to take, because I really enjoyed them. They did really good work and were really good at just shooting things down and allowing me to like clear screens and push back my opponent so that my charging units could get into there. I also had the Demon Prince with Wings, which did a phenomenal job. He is so fast, and can get wherever he wants to and hits like a Mack truck. I say hits like a Mack truck. There's definitely there's situations where you're just like you wish that he could do more, but it's not bad. I enjoy what he was able to do there. The Lord Exultants did a great job in combat. When you pop them off on that like once per game ability, they just like blend things, and it's really wonderful to see, especially if they got it on the charge there, because they're gonna have the lance on their spears, the power spears, and it's really, really great. I had the Lord Cacophonous with the Noise Marines. I want a third, and I got the actual official model here, so I've been running with the two that are the two that I kit bashed from extra Noise Marine bodies. I've got the official one now, so that'll be the third one, which will be nice. And then I can go from there with them. I'm very excited to see what they can do. They really brought a lot to the Noise Marines. Getting that extra, the sustained hits really added an extra bit of oomph to the Noise Marines' ability to just take things down and just like pile on the shots. It was really great. And the way they worked together was awesome. So I had the 2 squads in the Rhinos, and I had 1 squad that I kept in reserves that would just kind of come off on the side or wherever I needed them to add the extra shooting, depending upon like which of my flanks looked like it was having more trouble than the other. You know, that's kind of the crux of what the army did. I did have the 2 Terminator squads. Their job was to kind of like get me into positions that I needed to once the main force of my army came up and made their presence known. So once I could get up there, see what the response was, I could then get those Terminators in where they needed to be. The ability to re-roll the charge after they've all shot into the same unit was super helpful. They also were able to get, they were the deep strike unit that I could use to get some of those extra, some more difficult to get secondaries if they came up, because they could hold them in reserves and they can drop down. They're only a 5-man squad, so it's kind of a smaller footprint, and they're able to drop down. They're not 1 model, which would be great, but they're you know, a smaller squad, so they can just drop down, get me the secondaries that I needed, and it was pretty fun to have there. And pretty good for me to kind of like work with them there. So, and that's that's the majority of, that's my list basically is what I had there. So as you can see, going forward, I'm going to expand. For instance, this model here that I've been working on here, the Lucius the Eternal. I think he brings a lot of just like killy power to the list. I think the fact that he can either run by himself or with the Flawless Blades, which I'm interested to see how they play out. I'm definitely going to build and paint a bunch of those and see where they kind of fit into everything and kind of go forward from there. But I'm definitely have the Lucius in there, and I'm thinking about the Flawless Blades. I'm not sure if I'm going to run them with him or like go separately. I don't know. We'll see what happens, because in order to transport them, you need to get a Land Raider, which is, oh man, that's a lot of points. And I know it'll bring some las cannons, which is great against, you know, a little bit of like anti-vehicle, which we don't really have a lot of, especially not shooting. And it'll be interesting to see kind of like how that plays out. You know, but man, Land Raiders are a lot of points, and it's kind of a sink to get them in there, but it might be the best way to, you know, actually have those guys like do their thing and get involved over there, which is pretty impressive. I am also very excited to paint up the Fulgrim, because that model, honestly, that model is the reason that I started these guys. You know, I was very excited about them. I thought they were interesting. The new models looked great, but the Fulgrim is the reason that I really decided to dive into it. So I'm very excited to get involved with him. I wasn't able to get him built up and painted for this video, but I'm sure I will show you as I do build and paint him, like as I go forward with it. He's looks super rad, and I've never really had an army where I had like a big, like badass centerpiece model to lead the army. And of course he's the Primarch. Of course you're going to want to run him. So that's kind of the models. Like basically what I'm saying is I'm going to build them all and see how they do. I definitely going to be adding Lucius. There were no models that I ran that I felt like disappointed me, you know? So I've got to see where the points go and what happens with them, because everything seemed to perform fairly well. I might just drop it down to 1 Terminator squad. I mean, I can almost guarantee you that's what I'm going to do, is dropping it down to 1 Terminator squad and see where some other points kind of like fall out from there, and just kind of go with that and see what I have. So I'm sure I'll be back to tell you a bit more about what I do with them, but the crux of it all is that I had a wonderful time playing with them, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing to expand it and see where they go. And I think, as you can see, this model looks so freaking cool. I was very happy how it built. I was very happy how it turned out, and I'm very excited to get him into my army and play him on the battlefield with everything else. I think it's going to be great. So let me know what you guys think. Are you starting up an Emperor's Children army? What's your list looking like? What are you thinking about it? Do you have things that you really like? Do you have things that you don't like? Are you thinking about adding demons? If you're not doing it, what do you not like or do you like to see about the Emperor's Children and kind of how they are? What do you think about what I got going on? What do you think about my army? I love to hear what you have to say about that because I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud about how everything's turned out so far. So let me know down in the comments below and we'll continue that conversation. I really, really do enjoy this conversation and all those comments, sharing, liking, subscribing, all of that really does help the channel. And 10 years, almost 10 years now I've been doing this and all of it is because of you, my viewers. So I really am super thankful for it. And as you know, I'm a member of the Army Painters Factory team, and that has come with a lot of things that I've been able to reap the benefit of. But again, I am fully cognizant of the fact that I would not be in a place, in a position that the Army Painter would want to work with me if it wasn't for you guys, my viewers. So I made sure that when I negotiated my my contract, that they would get me a code that I could provide to you guys to get a discount to you so that I can give back to you guys for all that you guys have given me. So if you go to the Army Painter and you use the code FactoryGeek5, you can save yourself 5% on all of your purchases there, including the new John Blanche sets. There's a bundle in there for that I used in my previous video to talking about like a very simple kind of palette for painting up the Emperor's Children there. If you want to do your own Emperor's Children, you can pick up any of the stuff that I use. I use like the Princess Pink speed paint for a lot of my troops there. That worked really, really well, and I'm very happy how that turned out. But yeah, you can certainly go get 5% off of any of your purchases that you want there. And if you are a member of my Patreon, there's a 10% code behind the paywall there. That's as a way for me, the Army Painter wanted me to keep it behind there as an extra way to say extra thank you to the people that have more directly supported what's going on with the channel here with their hard-earned money. And I really, really appreciate everything that you guys have done. You've kept me kind of going through all of this, and I'm very excited for the direction that we're going with this. You know, we're finding the fun, and I found an army that I am very excited about, and I'm very pleased with everything that I've got going on with it, and I'm very happy with what I can bring to you guys and that joy that I'm getting from playing these games, and I will show you guys everything that I've got going on there. But I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always, and until next time, stay safe and have fun.